Well, guys, it should be obvious to anyone with a logical thinking brain that we're heading into World War III. But unfortunately, most of the people that I've talked to have no clue what's actually going on. They have no clue about the severity of the threats that we now face. They think this whole World War III thing and war with Russia ended with the Cold War. And if you start talking about the possibility of nuclear war, you can see the look on these people's face and they're like, you must be some kind of a lunatic. You must be some kind of a nut. It's not going to happen because it would be guaranteed mutual destruction. So nuclear war is off the table. And yet other people will tell you that there's no such thing as nuclear weapon. It's all made up to frighten people. Lots of people are suffering from normalcy bias and just having their head in the sand and not wanting to see what is going on. But if you look at what's happening right now, what's been happening over the last 3 years, but especially what's been happening right now over the last few weeks and into the future, it's easy to see that they're building up for World War III. They're putting their chess pieces on the chessboard and they're getting ready for this wider war. They all know it's coming and they're all getting ready for that. And here's a good example of that. This article here is from NBC News. Kim Jong-un and Putin signed mutual defense pact as Russian leader visits North Korea. And I've saw several other channels talking about this, and it is, in my opinion, a huge deal. But these other channels I've heard talking about this are talking about North Korea going into Ukraine to help Russia. And that is a possibility, especially when NATO gets involved directly inside Ukraine. You could definitely see some North Korean troops involved inside of Ukraine. However, I think this is mainly about Putin is going to give longer range weapons, more powerful weapons, better guidance systems and things like that to Kim Jong-un. And guys, I think that the plan is for North Korea to attack United States servicemen and women in South Korea if the United States goes to war directly with Russia inside of Ukraine. And that would open up a two-front war. The United States has nearly 30,000 troops stationed in South Korea. And the Korean War never ended. They just had a ceasefire, but officially the war never ended. There's always been hostilities there, and if you give Kim Jong-un more advanced weapons, longer range weapons, he could use those against United States assets inside of South Korea, and that would open up a two-front war, and I think that would be the plan. That would be much more effective, in my opinion, than having North Korean troops go to Ukraine to directly assist Russia in fighting with NATO, when they can do it right there in the Korean Peninsula. North and South Korea, the war start back up again. 28,000, I think that it is, estimated United States troops in South Korea. They could be hit quickly and directly with longer range, better weapons, and could do a whole lot of damage to those troops, in my opinion. Not good at all. And I think that would be what we would see from North Korea. A whole lot more likely for that to be the plan than to ship North Korean troops into Ukraine. North Korea would attack the troops inside of South Korea. Two-front war opens up. Then you could also have, China could invade Taiwan, and then we have a three-front war. World War III. It is coming. You can see it, guys. It is obvious what the plan is.
Overnight, Russian President Vladimir Putin was welcomed on a red carpet by Kim Jong-un and lavished with the warmth of a good friend, even debating over who would be first to get into Kim's luxury car that incidentally was a gift from Putin. The two leaders, outcast and isolated, have been drawn closer by the war in Ukraine, now reaching...
They're not isolated. Russia isn't isolated. Russia is a huge member of BRICS. And guys, here's another article from the AP. Russia and North Korea signed partnership deal that appears to be the strongest since the Cold War. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signed an agreement Wednesday that pledges mutual aid if either country faces aggression, a strategic pact that comes as both face escalating standoffs with the West. And like I said, what we're going to see from North Korea is an attack on those troops inside of South Korea. two-front war. Putin knows this would definitely put a strain on the United States and NATO resources, but especially the United States with that two-front war, and more than likely you would see China take Taiwan, so it'll be a three-front war. World War III is just around the corner, guys, unfortunately, and a lot of people just don't want to admit to it. They don't want to believe it could actually happen. And guys, I found this article here extremely interesting from Yahoo News, and it was originally published on the Telegraph. Russia accused of beheading Ukrainian soldiers. The beheaded body of a Ukrainian soldier was discovered by an aerial reconnaissance team on top of a damaged military vehicle on Monday. It came as Ukraine's prosecutor general said he had horrifying evidence of a new Russian policy of beheading captured soldiers instead of detaining them. We have received information that Russian commanders have ordered not to take Ukrainian servicemen prisoner, but instead to kill them with inhumane cruelty by beheading. Now, if you think about this, I've been hearing for months now that Ukrainian soldiers didn't want to fight. They were giving up en masse. They were surrendering to Russian troops, and they were being better fed, getting medical, getting taken care of better by Russia than they are by their own government in Ukraine. And if you think about this, wouldn't it be better for Ukrainian soldiers to be captured instead of being horrified of being captured? If they're horrified of being captured and then murdered and beheaded, they're going to keep fighting until the very last man. The last drop of blood drains out and they collapse. However, if they're giving up, then more Ukrainian troops will give up and they will stop fighting. Wouldn't that be better for Russia if they would allow the Ukrainian troops to surrender? Yes, it would. And it'd be a lot worse for Ukraine because their troops wouldn't be fighting any longer. Anytime they get a chance to surrender, they're surrendering and they're taking out of the fight. However, like I said, if Russia had given the orders, supposedly according to Ukraine, to kill prisoners, to behead prisoners, then those prisoners will keep fighting until the very last man, the very last drop of blood is spilled because they don't want to be beheaded. So why not go out in a blaze of glory? So this makes more sense to me that this is something that Ukrainians came up with to frighten their own soldiers and to try to limit the possibility of them actually surrendering and to keep them fighting until the last drop of blood is spilled. I could be wrong about this. I mean, it could be happening, but in my opinion, this is propaganda from Ukraine to terrify their own military, what is left of it, so they will keep fighting until the last man and not give up, because it would be more beneficial for Ukraine for that to happen, for their men to not give up. It would be more beneficial to Russia if they do surrender. So why would Russia want to give orders to kill all the prisoners, behead all the prisoners? I don't think that they would. Again, could be totally wrong, but I don't think so. What do you think in the comments below about this? But guys, like I said, if you look at everything that's going on, it's obvious to see that they are planning on a wider war. I said it in a video about a year and a half ago, standing out here in my backyard, that Russia wasn't going to go into Ukraine and do what they have done so far and then just pull out and leave. They've offered some peace treaties and peace agreements that's been rejected. However, they're not going to just give up everything after all of this. And NATO, the United States, isn't going to let Ukraine fall. And I said back then, a year and a half ago, that this would eventually spread out into a wider war. And it's obvious that's what's going to happen. And I would say it's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. This article here, is the draft coming back? Yeah, most likely it is. Will women be included? Most likely. Everything you need to know about the pending legislation. I'm hearing a lot about this. And making everyone, you used to have to go sign up for selective service, and now they're going to make it where you automatically are signed up when you turn a certain age, 18 to 26, I think that it was. The draft coming back. I mean, it's obvious that they're getting ready to spread this out into a wider war. This other article here from CNN World. Mandatory conscription and subway stations as bunkers. Germany outlines wartime plans. This was published on Sunday, June the 9th. So you can see the United States and Europe, they're all talking about drafts and conscription, because he knows it's going to spread to a wider war. And guys, here's another article. Europe preparing for war as Ukraine conflict looms larger, report finds. And they're talking down through here about a wider war with Russia. It is coming. And guys, here's another article. NATO prepares overland corridors for deploying U.S. troops to Europe in case of war. The Telegraph. This was 2 weeks ago. They are planning on a wider war. It's obvious. They're getting things ready for a draft in the United States and Europe. You see Russia going to North Korea, going to arm North Korea with more advanced weapons. You see everyone taking side. You see BRICS. It's definitely going to happen. It's obvious in my opinion. Unfortunately, a lot of people, even preppers, want to keep their fingers in their ears, their hands over their eyes, because they don't want to see what's actually going on. But to me, it's obvious. To anyone, it should be obvious. This is what you do when you know you're going to go to a wider war. That's where it's going. You need to realize this and accept this and accept this is going to happen and start making plans. I actually I use the free version of Chat GPT sometimes to just ask certain questions, see what it has to say. If NATO went to war with Russia, North Korea, and Iran, how many people would die? And you notice when I asked this question, I didn't even include China in this. But this is what it gave me as far as the answer. It said World War II resulted in an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, including both military personnel and civilians. A nuclear conflict study suggests that a limited nuclear exchange between major powers could result in millions of immediate deaths, with additional millions dying from radiation, sickness, fallout, and the resulting nuclear winter. In the event of a full-scale conventional war involving NATO, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, casualties could range from hundreds of thousands to tens of millions, depending on the factors outlined above. In the worst-case scenario, including nuclear weapons, the death toll could be in the hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions. That's what we're looking at here, guys. That is horrifying. These people who are in control are sick, demon-possessed pedophiles, in my opinion. They want this war so badly. They've done everything they can to get this war started, and it is going to happen. Unfortunately, it's obvious what is going on right now. They're all planning for war. Both sides are building up, and it's going to break out into all-out war, and more than likely it's going to end up in hundreds of millions of people being dead. You know, there's a reason that people like Zuckerberg from Facebook has been building multi-million-dollar bunkers. Other super wealthy elites are doing the same thing because they know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. I hate to be the bringer of bad news, and I understand why people get sick of hearing these prepping videos because they think that it never happens, but it takes a long time for these things to happen. And if you look at what's going on now, it should be obvious to anyone with a thinking brain that there's a very, very likely chance. I would say it's probably at least a 75 to 80% chance that we will be going to a wider World War III, and that hundreds of millions of people will die during this war, unfortunately. Pray that I'm wrong. Pray this doesn't happen. Pray that a miracle happens and someone backs down, someone pulls back, someone pushes for peace, and it's accepted, and we can save all these lives, all this destruction. And it's sad, guys, it really is, to think about these Luciferians, these demonic individuals that are leading our country straight into hell. I have nephews that are just the right age to be drafted. One just turned 18, and the other one is 17. And I have other people with boys that same age, and they're talking about drafting females also. I mean, it's sickening, horrifying. And we could have had peace. We could have had peace, but the demonic possessed leaders that we have don't want peace. They want war. And unfortunately, they're going to get what they want, in my opinion. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching in the Creekmore Magazine. I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.